5 at-large candidates for the D.C. City Council. There are 9 candidates in all. We had to break our conversations with those candidates into installments. Next week, you will hear the other 4 candidates. In our studio now is Vincent Orange, who you just heard. Sekou Biddle is a Democratic candidate who holds the seat on an interim basis. Joshua Lopez is a Democratic candidate, as is Brian Weaver. Patrick Mera is a Republican candidate. Sekou Biddle, one of the major issues during last year's race for mayor was education. Vincent Gray advocated for a more community-based approach, a more deliberative approach than that pursued by Adrian Fenty and Michelle Rhee. What approach do you think would serve the city well when it comes to reforming the schools, and how do you intend to sell that approach to your colleagues in the Wilson Building?
Sure. Well, we've got to be aggressive, Kojo. I mean, I was a student in the school system over 30 years ago, and unfortunately, things have only gone backwards. Things have not gotten any better, and they are only going to get better when we put our foot on the gas. We've got to expand the things that we know work. You know, I started my career as a classroom teacher, and then
schools aren't better after 3 years of Michelle Rhee? Did I misunderstand that?
So what I'm saying is the school system has not dramatically improved in my lifetime.
30 years, it's worse. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you just said that you were in the schools 30 years ago and they're not any better. But Michelle Rhee made some progress.
And so we've seen some progress
Okay.
in the last few years during this education reform era, but we have got to continue to accelerate that progress. And I think what I bring to the table is real practical experience as a classroom teacher, actually having those results with students in my classroom, leading efforts with other teachers to help teachers be more effective. Because at the end of the day, the effectiveness of our teacher is really what drives all this. So we've got to, utilize tools like Impact to improve our teacher quality, and that's how we improve the quality of our schools.
Where do you come down on the impact evaluation system, Brian Weaver?
I think it's malleable. I think that there's definitely a lot of good that's come out of it. For me, I think that teacher qualifications are an important asset that we have to sort of really look at. I think that often we end up having teachers who are teaching outside their field of expertise in our most underperforming schools. I think that if we've looked at the reforms and actually the new buildings that we've built, they tend to be in a certain location in the city. I would really sort of say we have to watch our dollars a bit more effectively and try to push more of the education reform elements to east of the river. And that really is sort of the battleground of where we need at a desperate level to improve education.
Vincent Orange, you have been endorsed by the Washington Teachers Union, and that can give some people the impression that because of the conflict that existed between that union and Michelle Rhee, that Vincent Orange does not support school reform, and in particular does not like the impact evaluation system.
Absolutely not. I've been credited with being out front for education reform early. As you know, when Mayor Williams tried to take over the school system, I joined him, and I came up with the standards for our 3rd and 8th graders, and that's why I joined that legislation. But let me tell you, the reason why I think I was endorsed by the Washington Teachers Union is because I am the bridge to the executive and the teachers and bringing everyone together. Clearly, I've been out front on education reform. I have a very good education record with McKinley Technology High School, Noyes Elementary School, getting books for our children by the 2nd week of school, and what have you. So, at this point in time, the impact evaluation is very, very a very serious document that has been executed. We have an agreement. Teachers will receive 21% increase over the next 4 or 5 years in exchange for pay for performance. Only problem we have right now is there's 737 teachers on the bubble. I want to work to ensure that those teachers are going to get the professional development, all the tools that are necessary to move them to the effective category so we can all be successful.
Patrick Mara, before Tom Sherwood takes over again.
Thank you, Kojo. First of all, impact is literally the cornerstone of the Rhee legacy. I am a big supporter of the reforms that Chancellor Rhee put in place.
We should just be clear, impact is the way they judge.
The
anybody know what impact stands for?
I had the opportunity to speak with over 100 teachers in the last year, and where the greatest confusion exists, it's not in the ineffective teachers, it's not in the highly effective teachers who are rewarded. It's really in the minimally effective and the effective teaching categories. What I think we probably need in that category, and I know there's a book for professional development, but teachers, just need to be aware of professional development strategies. Also, teachers need to be getting structured plans for improvement, and there seems to be a disconnect at this point in time as to how that can happen at the school level. And as Chancellor Rhee recently mentioned, we need to figure out how to incorporate student evaluations into the system as well.
Are any of you worried about the cheating? The
Allow me to have Debbie in Ward 5 raise that issue. Debbie, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for having this show at this particular time. My question is going to be for Joshua Lopez. A couple of weeks ago in USA Today, it was publicized widely about how Noyes Elementary School was a cornerstone or had been recognized with a high erasure rate from wrong answers to right answers. Now, this issue was brought before the council person back in 2003, and nothing was done. I need to know, and the city demands to know, what is going to happen moving forward to prevent these principals from having the answers in their hands as the administrators, preventing these tests from being able to get changed, and to make sure that our students are getting the true education reform.
Here is Josh Lopez, Debbie.
So how do we prevent that from happening in the future? Well, I support the chancellor's move to refer it to the inspector general, to really find out if there was any wrongdoing in the first place. If there was, you have to take appropriate action from that point. But I think right now it's a little bit too early, to kind of make judgment on what's actually happened.
And the chancellor, I think, also said that there would be more security for the tests. That they will be sealed or something, so that there will not be local teachers or principals who look at them. Is that right?
Yeah, the State Board of Education.
Patrick Mara.
Oh, excuse me. The State Board of Education had a working session this past Wednesday, and we examined the new the policies and procedures, and there are seals on the test guides. There are, it's very highly regulated. You have up to two folks at the school who are administrating the entire test. Up to 37% of the tests are randomly reviewed. So that's a fairly large percentage, and that's actually a larger percentage of reviews that take place than I believe just about any other jurisdiction in the nation.
Brian Weaver.
Yeah, one of the things I think that Michelle Reeven mentioned on your program last week or Monday this week was that we're assuming that all of the erasures were going into positive directions where actually it could go either way. And we talked about other jurisdictions have the same thing where they would go back through tests, and ones that were marked incorrect actually were marked as correct. So, I mean, we're making a wide assumption about those test scores.
Brian Weaver, your website is the only one among these candidates that seems to have blocked off considerable space for public health issues like HIV/AIDS. What do you think are the city's most pressing public health concerns, and where will those issues fit into your agenda as a council member?
I think HIV/AIDS, there was the public relations campaign that happened last year that said that that HIV is our Katrina, and if you look comparably to our HIV rate in this city compared to internationally, we are on a rate of being very similar to West Africa and some Caribbean nations and where we are. What I really think that where we failed on is we have not managed our grant money particularly well. I think that if you've followed any of the scandals about money that we've spent, the $25 million that have gone out into HIV research and making sure that new communities, when heterosexual women of color are the largest new community that are suffering from HIV/AIDS, and they don't view it as their crisis, I think that we've missed a boat, and we really have to monitor those dollars better.
Mayor Gray has announced in the course of all these scandals, it's hard to remember, but he announced a major effort with Dr. Akhtar, that public health person, that the city within 2 years would stop the growth of AIDS. There would be enough education, enough of support, enough treatment for people on demand. Do you think the city can do that? Are you familiar with what the mayor?
Yeah,
I only have 30 seconds.
No, I mean, right now on the path that we're going on, no, I don't think that. I think that if you look at the mismanagement of how we have spent these,
it sounds like another great leap forward to some people.
Yeah, no, I like the sentiment, but we're actually not there. With our oversight responsibilities of these grants have been abysmal.
We've gotten to the point where each of our candidates is allowed a 60-second closing statement. We'll start in the other direction with Sekou Biddle.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Sekou Biddle. I'm asking for all of our listeners' support during the April 26th special election. I believe I'm the best candidate for this position because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm an independent education reformer with years of experience in actually transforming the lives of children and young people through education. It is the city's #1 issue, and I am, quite frankly, the most qualified candidate on the issue. Tom asked earlier about endorsements. I was endorsed by the Sierra Club recently and by Democrats for Education Reform, named the Education Reformer of the Month, because I am the only candidate in this race with the skills, the experience, and the competency to improve education reform and provide that type of leadership on the council.
Thank you very much. Joshua Lopez.
Thanks, Kojo. If the residents of the District of Columbia are looking for someone who's going to bring some new energy to the city council, someone that's willing to go down and hold people's feet to the fire, I'll be your strongest candidate. If we keep electing the same people, we'll get the same exact results. Enough of career politicians, enough of people who don't have backbone and will rubber stamp every decision that's put in front of them. Let's go with some new energy, someone who will continue with the progress of the city. I know the city well. I've served in many different capacities. I grew up here. I went to schools here. And I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to be honest with people. I'm willing to go out into the community. The same way I'm running my campaign is the same way I'll be a council member. I'll go out, I'll knock on doors, I'll speak to voters directly, find out what their issues are, and come up with solutions. Enough of the excuses. If you're looking for someone new and someone that's going to work hard for you, vote Joshua Lopez. I'm number 5 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vincent Orange?
Well, thank you once again. I'm Vincent Orange, and I am number 9 on the ballot, and I would like to ask the voters of the District of Columbia to vote for me. Not only do I bring experience, proven experience, integrity, and accountability, and an independent voice, but I bring a record of achievement second to none. I have what these other candidates don't have. I have produced. I've produced in the areas of education. I've been out in the forefront. I've produced in the areas of finance, helped balance the budget on numerous occasions and taken us from deficits to surpluses. I've had the opportunity to create jobs. And not only that, I have a vision for the city. I want to get back to creating jobs east of the river, to attack the 30% unemployment in Ward 8, 20% unemployment in Ward 7. We'd like to move the city forward in collecting money that is owed to us. So at the end of the day, experience counts, experience matters, and production matters as well. And I'm the producer. Thank you very much.
Brian Weaver?
When I came to Washington, D.C. 22 years ago as a Howard University student, I took an internship working for the late Senator Paul Wellstone. And Paul, at every venue, would say the same thing. It's become a bit of a mantra for my campaign, which is politics is not about power. It's not about money. It's about the improvement of people's lives. It's about the noble fight for human rights and human dignity. I view that we are at a crisis in this city. We lack the responsibility to fight for oversight. We hold none of our public officials accountable, and we continue to fail in reforming this government at every level of government. We talk about education reform. Part of the reason that we don't have a strong school system here in the city is that for years we turned the other way. We allowed oversight to be lax. We allowed costs to go up, and I just say no more. If you want someone that's going to come out and actually ask for sweeping ethics responsibility and sweeping ethics changes at the council, then I'm the city council member for you. Brian Weaver, number 3 on the ballot.
Patrick Mara?
My name is Patrick Mara, and I'm asking for your vote on April 26th. These forums are like Groundhog Day. Year after year after year, you hear the same promises over and over and over again. I'm running to be the ethical and fiscal watchdog on the D.C. Council. Folks, 5 members of the D.C. Council have done something extremely unethical, which is also offensive, and or illegal in the last year alone. When are you going to say enough is enough? I am not endorsed by Mayor Gray. I am not endorsed by Chairman Kwame Fully Loaded Brown. I am not endorsed by any member of the D.C. Council. I never will be, and this is something I am quite proud of. Without a doubt, I will be the most independent member of the council and will have the ability to be a whistleblower on my colleagues and in all areas of the district government. I will focus on the fiscal. We need to reduce spending. I will focus on continuing education reform, but I will be the most independent member of the council. My name is Patrick Mara. I'm asking for your vote on April 26th. Thank you.